Hey everyone, Ryan here at eTrailer. Today on our 2020 Ford Edge, we're going to be showing you how to install the etrailer.com trailer hitch receiver. Before we get into that though, let's take a minute. We'll check out this hitch and make sure it's going to be the right setup for you. So when it comes to the Edge, pretty versatile SUVs. My wife actually owns one. It's a 2016 model and we do a ton of different things with it. So having a hitch back here is going to open up your opportunities, right? You'll be able to use accessories, pull a trailer around, or even a little bit of both. I do want to address one of the main questions that we get asked all the time in regards to putting a hitch on the back of the Edge, and that is, will my hands-free liftgate assist features still work? And with this setup, the answer is yes. Kick your foot to either side of that receiver tube opening, and everything will open up like it should. To compare this hitch to some of the other ones out there, because there are a handful of them, you'll have some of them that look very similar to this, a more hidden style hitch, and then you'll have some that are more visible, where the cross tube will actually hang down below the bumper, and you'll notice it a lot more. And honestly, if it were me, I don't really see a reason why not to go with the more hidden style one. And I say that because, well, I think they look better for one. They're not any more difficult to install or anything along those lines. A lot of them will have higher capacities, weight capacities than the visible ones, and you'll have less interference when it comes to that hands-free liftgate. You saw we just opened this one, super easy, picks your foot up. So that's my opinion. Between all the hidden type ones, really the main difference is going to be the finish of them. I'm a fan of the eTrailer one. It has more of this matte black finish. I think it matches the plastic on our bumper almost spot on, so it blends in. While some of the other ones are going to have a more gloss or semi-gloss type finish. So it's really up to you and what you think is going to look best on the back of your Edge. The hitch is going to have a 2" by 2" receiver tube opening, which is a good thing. That is a super common size, so a lot of stuff will work with it. It is going to use the standard 5/8 pin and clip. One doesn't come included with the hitch. If you need one, not a huge deal. Grab it here at eTrailer. A lot of times too, if you end up buying a new accessory, they'll come with one. Something to look out for there. The safety chain openings are a little bit different than what a lot of you are probably used to seeing. These ones actually hang down, which I think make the hitch less noticeable, and they'll give us a ton of room as well. So regardless on what size hook your trailer might have on it, you should be in pretty good shape there. As far as the weight capacities go, the hitch is going to give us some really good numbers actually. Maximum gross tongue weight rating is going to be 675 pounds, which is the amount of weight pushing down on the hitch. And that's more than enough for pretty much any size bike rack or cargo carrier, to give you an example. And when it comes to the maximum gross trailer weight rating, that's going to be 4,500 pounds, or the amount of weight pulling on the hitch. That is the weight of your trailer, plus anything you might have in or on it. This hitch can be used at the weight distribution system, which is a separate component. What happens when you use that, it's going to keep your Edge and your trailer level whenever you're pulling it down the road. It's pretty popular for enclosed trailers, campers, things of that nature. But even if you do use that weight distribution, the capacities are going to remain the same at 675 and 4,500. With all those weight capacities in mind, I do always like to recommend, it's always a good idea just to grab your Edge's owner's manual. That way you can check in there and make sure that your Ford can handle that amount of weight safely. We'll grab a couple measurements now, and these will help us figure out what type of accessories will work best. We go from the ground to the top inside edge of the receiver tube opening. It's going to be about 12.5 inches. So if you plan on pulling a trailer, chances are pretty good you can get a ball mount that has a rise in the shank. Probably that 4-inch range would work well for most people. And if you can get an accessory that also has a rise in the shank, that'd be even better. Buy a little more ground clearance back here. And as far as from the center of the hitch pin hole to the edge of the rear bumper, that's going to be about 6 inches, and you can use that to help figure out exactly if any of those folding type accessories you might have can be stored in that upright position without hitting the back of your SUV. Ultimately, at the end of the day, this is my top pick as far as the Edge is concerned, and this is the exact hitch we actually have on my wife's car. It's holding up great, use it all the time. so really can't go wrong. As far as the installation goes, it's really not too bad. It's a little time consuming, but you don't really have to do any drilling or major modifications, nothing like that. So take your time, should be in pretty good shape. And if this is something that you don't have time to mess with, or just don't feel like doing it, I completely get that. You can always use our dealer locator network, and that'll get you going in the right direction as far as finding a shop that can do it for you. But if you're putting this on yourself, hang around, we'll go ahead, pull into the garage, and get started on it now. To begin our installation, we're going to be working underneath the back of our edge, and we'll first start by removing this center little heat shield here. And along the very back edge, we're going to have a total of 6 5.5 millimeter screws. We'll just work our way across here to get all these out. There's also going to be a 10 millimeter head nut right there. And before we're able to actually pull this panel down and remove it, there's going to be a couple more fasteners on our side panels that we can get removed. On each one of our frame rails, we're going to have these two 10 millimeter head nuts that we can get removed. And this one here, that's actually helping to hold that center heat shield panel that we've been working on. With that said, our studs are pretty rusty. If yours are like this, you can spray them down with some penetrating oil, and it helps if you kind of work, start to loosen the nut, run it back, loosen it, run it back, so on and so forth, to avoid not breaking the stud here. And whatever we do to one side of our vehicle from this point on, we're also going to do to the other side, because it'll be set up the same way. Now we should be able to just kind of pull down on everything and get this center panel removed. You can also get the side panels completely removed. There's just 2 more 5.5 millimeter screws. And we can work this out of position as well. In the middle of our vehicle, this stud that was coming down that was helping to hold up the middle heat shield, this is going to have to get removed. You can take a grinder and cut it off. Sometimes you can grab a pair of vice grips and just kind of work it back and forth. A lot of times you'll get them to pop out like that. You're going to need to let our exhaust come down a little bit. This just gives us more room to work. So prior to doing that, I like to take a strap and just run it from side to side. That way we can kind of control how fast and how far the exhaust comes down. We'll have 2 rubber isolator hangers that we can pry off, so one on each side of our muffler. And I like to spray them down with soapy water and then just kind of work the system around to kind of break everything free. And then you can take a pry bar, a big screwdriver, whatever you got, work that end off. And I already have the other side removed. And now we can loosen up our strap and let the exhaust come down a little bit. You can get our hardware in the frame rail now, and so you're going to have a total of 4 attachment points on each side. You have these 2, and then these 2. This hole we're going to use as an access hole to get our hardware in the frame. So you can take a pull wire, and what you're going to do is I like to start with that one there. Put it through, get the coiled end out through the access hole, put on a spacer block, and thread on a carriage bolt. And you can put the hardware up into the frame. Pull on that fish wire. And do the same thing for this one here. And with these side ones, what I like to do since our hitch is going to go up like that, I like to just push them back into the frame just a little bit. That way they don't interfere with it. And I'm going to use that same technique and hardware combination for the 2 attachment points on the bottom of our frame rail. If you can have someone help you with this part, makes it much easier. But what we're going to do is take our pull wires, drop them down through the holes in the hitch. We'll kind of get it up and over the exhaust a little bit there. These ones, you'll put them in from the inside out. Once you have all of them started, you can raise this up. Once you get those side ones pulled through, the weight of the hitch should rest on them and stay somewhat supported. But then we'll remove the pull wire from one of the side ones, take a flange nut to get this started hand tight. To get the rest of the hardware started, a quick pointer: if you're having a hard time getting the nut started because the bolt wants to push back into the frame, what you can do, you can pull it all the way out, then take a flathead screwdriver and kind of put some side pressure on it like that, and that'll keep it steady, making it much easier to get the nut started. So on the sides, you got the flange nuts. On this one, we'll use a flange nut. And then for this one here, since there's not a whole lot of space, you're going to use a split lock washer and a regular hex nut. You want to come back with an 11/16 size socket now and snug all the hardware down. Personally, I like to start with the ones on the bottom first to draw it up tight against the bottom of the frame, and then come back and do the side ones. We want to make sure and come back with a torque wrench now and tighten down all the hardware to the amount specified in your instructions. You can grab our side panels now, get them put back into position, and re-secure those. And as far as the panel that went in the center of our vehicle, that will not be getting reinstalled. We can rehang our exhaust now, and when you're putting it back up, you can just re-lubricate the hangers and work it in place by hand. So I got the other side on already, and now we can get our strap removed here. And with that done, that'll finish up our look at and our installation of the etrailer.com trailer hitch receiver on our 2020 Ford Edge.